Welcome back to the deep dive. You gave us the sources, and today we are getting into Audrey Stone's Christmas Lights and Small Town Nights.
Yeah, it's part of the Christmas romance series.
It is, but forget the tinsel for just a second, because this is less a cozy holiday read and more a really high stakes look at what happens when, human need just smashes right into corporate metrics.
It's a brilliant setup. Our deep dive today is into Havenbrook, which is this fictional little coastal town in Cornwall, England.
Right.
And it's painted as this really warm, welcoming community, defined by the rhythm of the tides, a fierce pride in its local places. But the author uses that charm almost immediately to show you just how vulnerable the place is.
Especially its medical center.
Exactly, which is the heart of the entire conflict.
So that's our mission today. We want to take you right to the core of that premise, the conflict, the characters, the whole genre appeal, so you get why this book is so compelling. And we'll do it all without spoiling the journey. But if you are a fan of contemporary romance, and especially that enemies to lovers trope, you should definitely stick around. The stakes here are literally life and death, which, creates some explosive chemistry.
To get the tension, you first have to understand the state of play. The medical facility, the Havenbrook Clinic, is described as a microcosm of public health's demise.
That's a strong phrase.
It is. It's an old NHS prefab, literally tacked onto the side of a closed-down primary school. It is running on fumes and just sheer willpower.
And the person providing pretty much all of that willpower is our first protagonist, Dr. Leah Peril.
Yes.
We meet her before dawn at, 5:22 a.m., already working. She's this fiercely dedicated GP who is, she's basically keeping the whole town alive with skill, protectiveness, and what the book calls the manners of a plumber.
I love that description. She's tough. She's practical. She doesn't wait for the system to tell her what to do because she's already anticipating that it's going to fail.
Right.
And we see that commitment right away, like in her routine check on Mrs. Henderson, a 72-year-old with rheumatoid arthritis.
Lives alone with her dog.
Yeah, with her Cocker Spaniel. And Leah's there before the clinic even opens, checking a sling, pre-calibrating painkillers for the bad weather that's coming in. She's already thinking 3 steps ahead.
That detail just shows you immediately that she's running on this philosophy of prevention through connection, which goes against every single metric a system focused purely on, throughput would measure.
Exactly. She's rationing Ventolin and dressings, sure, but her time, that investment is saving major hospital admissions down the line.
And her whole ethos, it extends to the kids too. She's patching up locals like Kit and Ellie for everything from insect bites to, low-key pyromania.
Right, which is great, but instead of scolding them, she uses that moment to teach them how to recognize sepsis.
Which is so critical. Her dedication isn't just about bandages. It's about giving people the knowledge to survive when the system is under-resourced.
But that scarcity is the ticking clock.
It is. And that's why the urgent site audit email from the Clinical Commissioning Group, the CCG, is so terrifying.
For anyone unfamiliar, the CCG is basically the local body that holds all the money. They decide what services get funded, and they have the power to just shut this whole clinic down.
Which is pretty much the threat that walks right through the door.
And that brings us, with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, to our second protagonist.
Zach Maddox.
Enter Zach Maddox. He's the efficiency assessor from the trust, which is the administrative authority. He's sent to streamline services, cut inefficiency, propose redesign.
Or, in the language of Havenbrook, that's standard winter decimation.
Right.
Or the hospital's secret police.
His entire mission is the complete antithesis of Leah's reality. He is all about the data. He's got a 17-page, 86-box checklist, and he literally sets up camp across the road with a flawless line of sight to my target.
So the conflict just ignites instantly. Leah sees his metrics as completely dehumanizing. She says to him flat out, "People don't stop needing to breathe just because there's a spreadsheet for it." And that's the divide, isn't it? Zach represents the system's drive for measurable output, and Leah represents the irreplaceable value of, human connection.
And this is where the book gets really smart. Because if Zach is all about data, he has to understand the environment generating it.
So he walks into his first team meeting and just gets hit with all the truths that are not on his checklist. The stair lift's broken, they're always over capacity, the Wi-Fi is terrible.
Oh, the Wi-Fi. It only supports the main patient record system, the EMIS database on alternate Tuesdays.
That detail is so critical. It shows that the centralized, expensive solution the trust provided is completely useless in the real world. The very infrastructure he's judging them on is failing them.
I think anyone who's ever run an organization can relate to that. Being judged by a metric that only measures compliance, not actual success.
Totally. But the book is careful to make sure Zach isn't just like a cartoon villain. He starts to develop this grudging respect for Leah pretty quickly.
That's the pivot point for their whole relationship. He's an observer. He sees her herding 2 children and an elderly man, doing 3 jobs at once.
And he realizes the clinic is running purely on improvisation.
He even notices that she wrote her own inventory tracker on a shared Google sheet because the expensive official trust portal was just completely unreliable.
And the second Zach realizes that her improvised system, the so-called inefficient one, is actually more accurate than the corporate one.
You can just see the foundation of his whole worldview start to crack.
It's the perfect setup for that grumpy sunshine, enemies to lovers dynamic that is so good in this genre.
Yeah, but the clinic isn't just surviving on Leah. The book does such a great job of making the whole community the real infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. The supporting cast is essential.
Let's talk about Moira. She's the admin running triage with just the right amount of sarcasm and this critical emergency stash.
The stash is amazing. Shortbread for the palliative kids, lollipops, a single-use sewing kit. She is the living proof that care is so much more than just a prescription pad. And then there's Saffron, the 6th former, the serial volunteer, campaigning for the Warm Hub.
Which is this pilot project to provide heating, snacks, just a sense of community for vulnerable residents. It's basically an extension of the clinic's work to prevent crises before they happen. Saffron is all that local passion rolled into one person.
Then you have Ezra Gold, the paramedic. He and Leah just work in perfect sync.
And you see that immediately in the high-pressure moments, like during the winter storm.
The rescue of Percy Bly, the 92-year-old lighthouse keeper, that was a huge one.
That lighthouse rescue is a key turning point. Because of the storm, the normal protocol sending Percy to the big city hospital is just too risky.
Impossible, yeah.
So Leah makes this incredibly high-risk, real-time call to just bypass protocol and stabilize them right there in her tiny improvised clinic, trusting Ezra and her team completely.
And that forces Zach to just throw his spreadsheet out the window. Suddenly he's right there in the middle of it, collaborating with them to manage a real medical emergency where, metrics mean nothing.
It's all about skill and local knowledge.
Exactly. And the power outage that follows just solidifies this reluctant alliance.
They have to work side by side to keep the cold chain meds viable, keep patients warm. And through that shared crisis, Zach sees that Leah's ability to improvise is the only thing standing between the town and total disaster.
So if his original study was meant to suggest shutting the clinic down, he now has direct, first-hand evidence that doing so would be fatal.
And all of this leads to the inevitable showdown with the higher-ups, the trust, the council, people like Bliss Duarte and Paul Calder.
This is where the whole structural argument of the book comes together. Leah and her team have to argue passionately that you can't treat healthcare like a car factory.
They have to prove that their local, responsive, and yes, their inefficient efficiency actually saves lives and, crucially, saves the system money in the long run.
It's the ultimate defense of community care, isn't it? They show how by treating patients like a little girl with bronchiolitis right there at the local clinic.
Keeping them stable, yeah.
Right. They stop it from escalating. They avoid a hugely expensive admission to the central emergency department. They are literally making the economic case for humanity.
They're showing that metrics focused only on throughput, how fast you process people, completely miss the crucial value of continuity of care and prevention. And that is what elevates this story beyond just a simple romance. It gives it real intellectual weight.
So, okay, if the professional stakes are that high, the romance stakes are just off the charts. For anyone who loves this genre, this book just checks all the boxes so well.
The chemistry between Leah and Zach is volcanic. Because the tension is rooted in their professional and moral clash. Leah hates him on sight. She sees him as just a bureaucratic parasite.
A perfect launch pad for enemies to lovers.
The best. And then the forced proximity during the storm is just a masterclass in accelerating a relationship.
They're sharing patrols in the snow, having these intense late-night strategy meetings, and then literally standing shoulder to shoulder, defending the clinic. They're fighting the system together.
But what really seals it is that shift from combat to alliance. It's built on unspoken trust. You see, Leah actually let Zach help her on house calls.
Which for her is a huge deal.
Massive. And then Zach shows his change of heart when he defies the trust and uses his own contacts to run Leah's positive outcome data, proving her model actually works.
He goes from trying to cut her operation to actively defending it with his own tools, data, and evidence, but now he's applying them to her human-centric model.
Exactly. So their success isn't just a happy ending for them, it's survival for the whole town. It gives their relationship this immense, satisfying meaning. It proves that maybe it's all about building something that could survive a little chaos.
And the book wraps up with the hard-won victory of the hybrid pilot, which secures the clinic's future and lets Leah's model become official.
And it leaves our two leads firmly side by side, realizing they are, quote, better at building new ones, meaning bridges, than they are at burning them.
So if we connect this back to the bigger picture for you, the learner, the real deep dive here, is into community resilience. This book is a powerful argument that, human connection can triumph over institutional indifference.
That fragile improvised clinic, the patch, it only held on because the people running it, from the doctor to the sixth former to Moira with her shortbread, cared more about names than they did about numbers.
It just highlights the invisible value of local knowledge, of continuity of care.
The system built on trust and necessity, the one that was inefficient on paper, was precisely what worked in real life. It provided care that actually saved the system money in the end.
And that's the thought we want to leave you with. What is the true cost of efficiency in any organization? When you focus only on the measurable stuff and you miss that irreplaceable human element, the doctor who knows about her patient's dog and how the weather affects her arthritis, you risk dissolving the very thing that makes you resilient.
Yeah. This book really challenges us to think about what it means to choose to treat people, not cases.
So if that structural conflict paired with a really high-stakes romance sounds compelling.
You really need to pick up Christmas Lights and Small Town Nights by Audrey Stone.
And if you love her style, that perfect mix of grumpy sunshine conflict and big community stakes, you'll be excited for the next book in the series. It's called Mistletoe Magic.
That one features a marketing executive named Eliza battling a local traditionalist named Dens. Sounds great.
It does. You can find both books and dive into the drama of Havenbrook for yourself right now.
Just head over to silvergravityBooks.com.
That's SILVERGRAVITYBOOKS.com. We highly recommend it. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.